Hello.
Yep, today I'm going to tell you this story about a naked woman in Taipei. Sam was a chief steward and he night stopped with his crew in Taipei and they got to check out the next morning. But before call time, he heard a loud bang on the door on the opposite room. Bang, bang, bang. One woman was screaming and banging the door. So Sam quickly opened the door, and to his surprise, he saw a naked woman outside the door, hysterically knocking at the door, screaming, crying, yelling. So the neighboring neighbors, guests, they peeped out of the rooms and they looked, and it was a commotion. So Sam quickly pulled this woman into his room and gave her a bathrobe. Of course, as a man, he has this sexual urge, but he controlled himself, knowing that he might get into trouble, not knowing what was happening. But he knew that the opposite room was the room of Adrian, a steward of his. So he called this Adrian on the phone and said, "What happened? This woman?" And he explained. And then Adrian was telling him that this woman was a prostitute, and she and Adrian engaged her service the night before, and there was a dispute in the morning over the payment of the fees. So Adrian was a hot-tempered steward. He was so angry, he pushed this woman out of the door, dragged her and pushed her out naked. That's how the banging came about, the screaming. So Sam asked Adrian for the clothing and then give it to the woman. And of course, he refused to pay her extra and she left crying. And not long after that, the hotel security people came up because of somebody's complaint that about the commotion and took down um, the testimony, the particulars, and so forth, and then called the station manager up, and the station manager informed the head office Singapore about this behavior of the crew. So when Sam and his crew flew back to Singapore, they were, or rather, Sam was called up to the office and he was investigated and he was charged for creating uh, nuisance and bringing disrepute to the airline by his behavior. Then, about a month later, there was a disciplinary inquiry, and Sam, the chief steward, was charged for misconduct and bringing disrepute. And if found guilty, he could be either demoted or sacked from the company. So the disciplinary proceedings started, and the union people defended Sam because he was a union member, of course, and the committee, the disciplinary committee, was made up of senior managers from a few of them, I think three of them from HR division, and they read out the charges against Sam in front of the unionists in the room. And then, before they start the so-called trial, the union requested that somebody would be brought in as a witness. So the committee said, all right, go ahead. And then here came Adrian, the steward, the one on the opposite room. And Adrian was forthright, honest, and he told the committee that he was the one who pushed the woman out. It wasn't Sam. And he explained Sam was the good Samaritan. So after explaining all that, the chairman of the committee was shocked, surprised. They did a lousy job. They did not investigate the case properly. They merely charged Sam because of what the station manager told them. So the case was thrown out. Sam was exonerated. Of course, the union wasn't satisfied. So the union people asked this committee to apologize, which they did. It was minuted. Few days later, it came out in the press. The title was SIA Said Sorry. Real. It's a real thing. It was I think in 1976 or 77. It was such an embarrassment to the airline. And our chairman called up the committee, the senior manager, and really give them a telling off. And later on, although Sam was exonerated, he didn't get his promotion to supervisor for 10 years. I think this company people victimized him, No reason was given. They just didn't want to promote him. And what happened to Adrian? Adrian was sacked, not because of the case. Adrian was sacked because, being such a hot-tempered fellow, he punched his own supervisor on one of the flight after an argument, and he was sacked from the company. This is a true story. Thank you for watching.